The Journey of Thomas, a tale of relentless consistency. Before starting the video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. The spark of a dream. Thomas Clark was born in a quiet village nestled between rolling hills and whispering trees. His family wasn't particularly wealthy, but they had enough to get by. From a young age, Thomas was drawn to the world of art. He loved the way colors danced on a canvas, blending together to create stories without words. His mother often caught him sitting by the lake, sketching the world around him: birds, trees, the soft ripple of water. To Thomas, the world was a giant canvas, and his heart longed to paint every corner of it. But Thomas' dream of becoming an artist wasn't one that the world around him valued. Art doesn't pay the bills, his father would often remind him. You need a real job, something stable. His words echoed the sentiments of their small village, where everyone worked practical jobs. Farmers, carpenters, shopkeepers. Art was seen as a hobby, not a career. Despite the discouragement, Thomas couldn't let go of his passion. He spent his free time drawing, sketching, and painting, even though he had no formal training. Every evening after his chores were done, he would retreat to his tiny bedroom, where he had a small wooden easel and a collection of old paintbrushes gifted by his aunt. His dream was simple. He wanted to be an artist, not just any artist, but one who inspired others, who painted the world in a way that made people feel something deeply. Thomas knew that becoming a successful artist would not be easy. There were no art schools nearby, and his family couldn't afford to send him away to study. But he had something stronger than resources. He had determination and a sense of consistency that burned within him. A slow and steady path. At 18, Thomas decided to leave his village and move to the nearby town of Glenwood. It wasn't a bustling city, but it was larger than his village, with more opportunities. He found work as a waiter at a small cafe, earning just enough to pay for a tiny room in a boarding house. The work was tiring, and the hours were long, but Thomas didn't mind. Every night after his shift ended, he would spend hours painting in his room. His hands were often sore from carrying trays all day, but the moment he held the paintbrush, the fatigue seemed to melt away. His routine became his anchor. Wake up, work at the cafe, paint, and repeat. He painted landscapes, portraits, abstract pieces, anything that came to mind. His room was filled with canvases, each one a reflection of his evolving style. He wasn't sure where his journey would lead, but he knew that consistency was his only ally. Months passed, and Thomas' artwork slowly improved. He began sharing his paintings on social media, hoping that someone might notice. At first, there was little interest. A few likes, a couple of comments, but nothing significant. Still, Thomas didn't waver. He kept painting, kept posting, and kept believing in his dream. His following grew, slowly but surely, one person at a time. One day, a local art gallery announced an open call for new artists. It was a small gallery, but Thomas saw it as an opportunity. He gathered his best pieces and submitted them, hoping for the best. Weeks went by without a word, and Thomas began to doubt himself. Maybe his work wasn't good enough. Maybe his father had been right all along. But then, just as he was about to give up, he received a letter from the gallery. His work had been accepted for their upcoming showcase. The taste of success. The night of the showcase was one of the most nerve-wracking moments of Thomas' life. The gallery was filled with people, artists, collectors, and art enthusiasts. Thomas stood by his paintings, his heart pounding in his chest. He watched as people examined his work, whispering to one another. He couldn't tell if their words were kind or critical, and the uncertainty gnawed at him. But then, something miraculous happened. A woman in her late 40s, dressed in a sleek black dress, approached Thomas. "These are your paintings?" the woman asked, her eyes scanning the vibrant colors on the canvas. "Yes," Thomas replied, his voice trembling slightly. "They're beautiful," the woman said, a smile spreading across her face. "I'd like to buy this one." Thomas' breath caught in his throat. He had sold a painting before, but never at a gallery. Never to someone who seemed so genuinely interested in his work. The woman handed him a business card. "I run an art studio in the city," she said. "I'd love to talk to you about collaborating on a project." That night, Thomas sold 3 of his paintings. It wasn't just the money that mattered, though it certainly helped. What mattered more was the validation, the recognition that his work had value, that his dream wasn't impossible. The climb. The following years were filled with both triumphs and challenges. Thomas' consistency never faltered, even when success seemed elusive. He continued working at the cafe, but now he had a growing number of art commissions. He participated in more gallery showcases, sold more paintings, and even began teaching art classes on the weekends. However, the path to success was far from smooth. There were times when Thomas felt like he wasn't progressing fast enough. He saw other artists rise to fame seemingly overnight, while his journey remained a slow climb. Social media was filled with success stories of young artists being discovered, their work going viral. But Thomas knew that comparing himself to others would only distract him from his own path. Instead, he focused on his routine. Every day, he painted. Whether he felt inspired or not, whether his work was selling or not, he painted. Some days, the process felt like a struggle. His brushstrokes were clumsy. The colors didn't blend the way he wanted, and nothing seemed to come together. But even on those days, Thomas didn't give up. He believed in the power of showing up, of doing the work, even when it felt difficult. His persistence paid off in ways he hadn't expected. A few years into his journey, he received an email from an art collector in New York. He had seen one of Thomas' pieces online and wanted to commission a large mural for his private gallery. It was the biggest project Thomas had ever undertaken, and it came with a hefty paycheck. More importantly, it was a sign that his consistent effort was finally being noticed on a larger scale. The plateau and the push forward. Success, however, didn't mean an end to the challenges. After completing the mural, Thomas found himself at a plateau. His work was selling, but not as frequently as he had hoped. He wasn't gaining as many followers online, and gallery invitations had slowed down. The initial rush of recognition had faded, and Thomas began to wonder if he had peaked too early. Doubt crept in again, whispering in his ear. Maybe this was as far as he would go. Maybe his art was just good, not great. But then Thomas remembered what had gotten him this far: consistency. He reminded himself that success wasn't about constant upward momentum. It was about persistence. He had come too far to give up now. So, he doubled down on his efforts. He experimented with new styles, took risks with his work, and sought feedback from other artists. He attended workshops, networked with more people in the art world, and continued to post his work online. Thomas understood that growth wasn't always linear. Sometimes it required pushing through the plateaus. The breakthrough. 5 years after his first gallery showcase, Thomas received an invitation to participate in an international art fair. It was one of the most prestigious events in the art world, attended by collectors, critics, and gallery owners from around the globe. This was the kind of opportunity that could change the trajectory of his career. Thomas spent months preparing for the fair, creating his most ambitious pieces yet. He poured his heart into each painting, determined to make an impression. When the day of the fair finally arrived, he was both nervous and excited. His booth was one of hundreds, and he knew that standing out would be a challenge. But as the day went on, Thomas realized that his hard work and consistency had paid off in more ways than he had anticipated. People were drawn to his booth, captivated by the depth and emotion in his work. He made several sales, but more importantly, he connected with influential people in the art world. A well-known gallery owner from London expressed interest in representing him, and a prominent art critic wrote a glowing review of his work. By the end of the fair, Thomas had secured not just sales, but opportunities that would propel his career to new heights. His work was featured in several magazines, and he received invitations to exhibit in galleries around the world. The power of consistency. Years passed, and Thomas' career continued to flourish. He was no longer the struggling artist who worked at a cafe to make ends meet. He now had a thriving career, with his paintings selling for thousands of dollars and his work being featured in galleries worldwide. He had achieved the dream he had once thought was impossible. But when people asked him how he did it, his answer was always the same: consistency. It wasn't about talent or luck or being in the right place at the right time. It was about showing up every day, doing the work, and believing in his dream even when it seemed far away. Thomas' story became an inspiration to others, especially young artists who were just starting out. He began giving talks about the importance of consistency, sharing his journey and encouraging others to stay committed to their goals, no matter how difficult the path seemed. In the end, Thomas' success wasn't just about becoming a renowned artist. It was about the journey he had taken, the years of hard work, the countless hours spent painting, the moments of doubt, and the small victories along the way. His story was a testament to the fact that true success comes not from talent alone, but from the relentless pursuit of one's passion. Looking back, now in his 40s, Thomas stood in his studio, surrounded by the paintings that had defined his life. He had come a long way from the young boy sketching by the lake, dreaming of a life in art. His journey had been filled with challenges, but he wouldn't have had it any other way. Looking back, Thomas realized that his consistency had done more than just build a successful career. It had shaped him as a person. It had taught him resilience, patience, and the importance of focusing on the process rather than the outcome. And in the end, it was that consistency that had made all the difference. Epilogue: the legacy of consistency. Thomas' story spread far and wide, inspiring not just artists, but people from all walks of life. His message was simple: but powerful. Success isn't about waiting for the perfect moment or the right opportunity. It's about showing up, putting in the work, and staying consistent, no matter what. Whether you're an artist, an entrepreneur, a student, or someone pursuing a personal goal, Thomas' story is a reminder that the road to success is often long and filled with obstacles. But with consistency, anything is possible. Now, Thomas takes pride in not just the art he creates, but in the journey that has led him to where he is today, a journey that, above all else, is marked by unwavering consistency. If you are enjoying this video, please subscribe to the channel